Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. So the NBA has renamed the league MVP trophy as the Michael Jordan Trophy. Fitting enough, Jordan's got 5 league MVPs, six league championships, 10 scoring championships. Jordan was absolutely phenomenal, no question about that. And there are 5 other guys that they named trophies after. So you got Chamberlain, Havlicek, George Mikan, Jerry West, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Right? So Jordan is the trophy is named after Jordan, the league MVP. Fitting. Wilt Chamberlain, the Rook of the Year trophy is named after him. He was the Rook of the Year. Not only was he the Rook of the Year, he was also the league MVP, but he had a record year that year. I think he averaged almost 40 and 20 that year. He went 37 in I think 18. And understandably so. Havlicek is the ultimate utility guy. He was the ultimate 6-man. Right? Now, I might have gone with somebody else, but I understand Havlicek. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that. Hakeem Olajuwon, they named the Defensive Player of the Year trophy after him, and I think Hakeem Olajuwon is the best defensive player in NBA history. I don't think it's a question. That's just me. I don't think it's a question. They named the George Mikan trophy is the guy who's the most improved. Sure, absolutely. And lastly, Jerry West is now the Mr. Clutch trophy. If you remember in the in the 69 finals, in the 70 finals, when he hit that 70-footer, there was no three-point line back then. If that was today, the game would have been over. That forced the game to go into overtime. Jerry West was a guy where if you needed a bucket late in the game, he could get it for you. That was who he was. I do have some issues, however, though. And one of the issues that I have is, as awesome as Jordan was, right? And as awesome as these 6 guys are, that these trophies are named after, there's one guy that's not on this list, and I'm still trying to get a satisfactory answer on why that is. So, again, the league MVP, not even the league MVP. Let's rewind the clock. From 1980 to 1989, in that time span, the Los Angeles Lakers missed the West Finals 1 time. That's it. So it's fitting that the West Finals trophy would be named after Magic Johnson. All right, I get that. Sure, no problem. In that same time span, from 1980 to 1989, the Boston Celtics missed the East Finals twice. So again, I understand the East Finals MVP trophy would be named after Larry Bird. Then you got the Finals MVP, which goes to Bill Russell. It's named after Bill Russell, who his team won the NBA championship 11 times. And had they started giving out the the Finals MVP before 1969, I'm sure he'd have more than 1, more than 2, more than 3, more than 4. So the theme here is obvious that it's winning, right? So if that's true, I'm trying to get a satisfactory answer on the one guy whose name is not on this list of trophies being named after him. Because in the 75-year history of the NBA, nobody has scored more points than Jabbar. Nobody. Well, LeBron James is about to break that record. Yeah, but it took him almost 38 years to do it. Right? Took 38 years for that to happen. Almost 40 years. Michael Jordan and Bill Russell both have 5 league MVPs. Jabbar's got 6 of them. These are how many guys in NBA history have more. These are how many guys in history have more than 5 league MVPs. Just this one guy. Nobody else, just him. When he retired, which is still going on today, he's the 3rd all-time leading rebounder in NBA history. And when he retired, he was the all-time shot block leader. So he was the ultimate rim protector. So when I think about honoring guys and commemorating their legacy, I don't know if there's a guy who is more fitting for it than Jabbar. I'm trying to make sense on what exactly Jabbar did to not be recognized in the light of the NBA like he should be. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has a legit case to be the greatest basketball player to ever live. And it wouldn't be close. It would not be close. He has a legitimate case. If you counted up high school, college, and the pros, he's got a legit case to be the greatest basketball player to ever live, and nobody comes close. But if you go to the pros, the standard to be the greatest basketball player to ever live is about winning. Jabbar is at the top of that list. 6 league championships, right? 6 league championships. 6 league MVPs. So here's a guy who was the epitome of winning, and it's interesting that he's not recognized for that like these other guys are. And that's not to say that these guys aren't worthy, because I think the defensive player of the year going to Hakeem Olajuwon, I wouldn't pick anybody else. He's the best defensive player that I've ever seen. That includes Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Jabbar. That includes all the bigs, all great perimeter players. Ben Wallace, in terms of him being on the block as a post player. David Robinson. All the great defensive players. Scottie Pippen. Hakeem Olajuwon is the best defensive player that I've ever seen. And it's not a question in my mind. So that's fitting, right? That's absolutely fitting. Havlicek being the 6th man of the year, he was the anchor on that Boston Celtic unit. I understand that there's some people who would say that Ginobili possibly could be that trophy would be named after him, because I think Ginobili is the best 6th man in NBA history. But I understand the logic with Havlicek, sure. I absolutely understand the logic with Havlicek. But the problem that I'm having more than anything with this is how Jabbar has just been excluded from NBA royalty when he absolutely should be on this list, without question. There shouldn't be a question of whether or not he's on this list, because he should be. Because he's won in dramatic fashion just as much as anybody has. I mean, he's the oldest finals MVP in NBA history. He was 38 in 1985 when he won the finals MVP, and they won the NBA championship. So he's done things in dramatic fashion just as much as anybody else. So I think that he not being commemorated and not being a part of this list, I do think it's a travesty. Sure, I absolutely do. Since we're on the subject of winning, well, the Boston Celtics have not been doing that. And I watched Jason Tatum get outplayed last night by Kawhi Leonard. I watched Jaylen Brown get outplayed last night by Paul George. And it was obvious that those guys had gotten outplayed. That Boston Celtic unit, they looked disjointed. They settled for a lot of shots that they could have gotten better shots. I would like to give the Los Angeles Clippers a lot of credit defensively. I thought they did a really good job at keeping both Jason Tatum, the Boston Celtics scorers, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, who was 1 for 6. I thought they did a good job of keeping those guys in front of them and making them take tough shots. I think that was a huge part of why they won that game last night. I thought that the Boston Celtics settled for a lot of shots. Initially, that was my thought process, that they had settled for a lot of shots. But then, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, they're not really settling. Jason Tatum is trying to get to the basket, and he really can't. And the reason why he can't is because Leonard is doing a great job at keeping him in front of him and forcing him into tough shots where Jason Tatum has to go with the shot clock going down. And now he's off rhythm. Jaylen Brown, that handle still doesn't look as tight as I'd like for it to look. It just doesn't. As good as he is, as good a scorer as he is, as good a one-on-one player as he is, that handle just, it still concerns me. Still does. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak. They got the Lakers tonight. And the way that the Lakers have been playing, the Lakers haven't been They haven't been great. So I think the Celtics can take advantage of them, but they have been good defensively. That has gone on. So I'm really interested to see that. Very very interested to see that. The Memphis Grizzlies last night. I mean that goes without saying. I still have not gotten a satisfactory answer on why guys sit out so much and why we don't see guys playing as much as they really can and as much as they really should, which would explain why the product sometimes gets watered down. I mean, Jaren Jackson looked great last night. He looked absolutely fantastic. And he's one of the main reasons why I thought that Memphis wouldn't be as high as they are. And the reason why I felt like that is because I thought that he was going to be out. The report was that he was going to be out till Christmas. So I didn't think that they would be able to recover losing a defensive anchor like that. But the fact that he's back in the lineup earlier than I expected, it's not a coincidence that they're rolling the way they're rolling. They have themselves their glass cleaner. Not only do they have their glass cleaner, they got their rim protector. And he has the ability to stretch the defense. He's huge for them. He's absolutely huge for them. I would like to, for a second, talk a little bit about Evan Mobley. I expected a jump this season. I mean, I see what Cleveland is doing. They're a top 3 seed in the East, and I thought that they were going to be a top 5 seed with the addition of Donovan Mitchell because he gives them that wing scorer that they didn't have, right? And he opens up the offense so much more for them. I was expecting Mobley to take that jump this year, only except he didn't. He seems like the same guy from last year offensively. Defensively, he looks like he's improved. But offensively, he looks like the same guy. Now, we have to take under consideration that there are some personal matters here. You know, his father passed away, so that may have affected him, right? But as far as his game, you know, his handle still looks wide. His handle still looks wide open. In addition to his handle still looking wide open, it doesn't look like it's as tight as it can be. His mid-range, he doesn't look like he trusts it as much. And I think that's largely due to the fact that he hasn't been really studying it as much. And I expect more from him. If this Cleveland Cavalier team is going to be anything in the future, particularly in the postseason, his game has to improve. It absolutely has to improve. No doubt about that. So, it was good to see you guys. And I will see you guys really soon. Until then, take it light, but take it.